Yeah, we're here on a status hearing. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Tribe for the department and Samara Duran is my worker today.
Ryan Turman for respondent mother. We are both present and ready.
Stacy Zabala, I'm ready.
What do we have new since the report was filed?
Your Honor, I'm actually just the covering worker. Stephanie is out on court in, I believe, Dimmitt. I spoke with her yesterday and she said that there were no updates for the court. I'm just going off of what we have in the court report.
And Judge, Mom did sign service plans and they were filed on February 22nd.
All right, great. Okay, Mr. Turman.
Sorry. Judge, I don't really have much to report at this point. I think Ms. Garcia is just trying to get working on her services.
All right, she's visiting and I guess that's going fine, so.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zabala.
Your Honor, I got to meet with Jalen in person. She's precious. She's doing really well and eats good and is kind of doing the normal things. She had lice that was treated, and then after a visit they had to treat it again. So just for Mom to be on the lookout for that. But she's doing really well, and I understand that visits are going well.
Okay. All right then, Ms. Garcia, let me just talk to you real quick about your service plan. Things are off to a good start. You've signed it, you've started setting things up, you're visiting, that's all good. I have to tell you a couple of things at this stage, and that is that failure to work your services could mean that the child doesn't go home. In worst case, it can mean termination of parental rights. So I know you don't want that to happen, and so you're off to a good start. Just keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Yes, I do have my psychosocial evaluation scheduled already for the 23rd of this month at 4 p.m. I did start my parenting classes. I already gave Stephanie one certificate for one of the classes, and I will get my other one for last night's class today. And then I do another class tonight. It's every Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. is when I do my parenting, and I get a certificate after every class. So I wasn't on my service plan. It really doesn't say how many certificates she needs. So I'm just going with it. I'm just doing the classes. I'm not sure. There's not a number of certificates that she needs, so I wasn't for sure. But I do go to my NA meetings at 7 p.m. whenever they have one every day at 12 steps, but I go to the ones when I don't have parenting. I am taking notes. I have been taking notes about my parenting. I've been journaling about my NAs. So yes, I'm trying to get things going.
Okay, sounds like you're doing great. So I'm very pleased, and just keep it up, and this will all have a very happy ending.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right then. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the child's placement. I'm going to order the service plan as an order of the court, and our next hearing date, our next court proceeding, will be June 29th of 2023 on a 9 o'clock docket. That'll be our initial permanency hearing.
I have a question. Sorry. Do you know what will be going on with the baby, or is that just for a different case? Or I'm not sure, because I have a newborn too, so I wasn't sure what was going on with him.
Okay, is in a different case.
Okay, I wasn't for sure.
Yeah, and it's not on the docket today. So I haven't read a recent report, so I can't answer that question for you.
Okay.
But your worker certainly can.
Okay.
And I don't know whether, do you have different workers on these cases?
As far as I know, I think it's just Stephanie. So, I think Stephanie is over the newborns case as well. So
Okay,
I'll
Mr.
just
Terman. Yeah,
Yeah, I can also get information too.
yeah. So Ms. Garcia, you need to, be sure to talk with Mr. Terman too.
Okay.
And I want to be clear, we have been talking. She's helped me several times, but yeah, I just want to make sure she knows questions like that. She's welcome to direct to me too.
Okay. All right. Okay, then I'll see you back on June 29th. Good luck. Okay. We'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the department, and Jennifer Campos is my privacy specialist today.
Lorraine Lucero on behalf of the mother, so Lisa Cortez, Your Honor, I'm present and ready, and I see Ms. Cortez on the screen.
Dan Michelson on behalf of Xavier Trevino, he's present and we're ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the kids, here and ready.
All right. What do we have new since the court report was filed?
Nothing new. The kids are doing very well. Visits between Xavier and Isaiah are going very well. And visits between Yazalina and her parents are going very well. There are no concerns. Parents are doing very well as well. They're doing everything that I've asked them to do. So other than that, there's really nothing.
And
So they're actively engaged in their services.
Yes,
And-
they actually have recently finished their parenting classes, and they just sent me those certificates yesterday, I think.
And Judge, those service plans were signed on the 14th and filed on the 28th by both parents.
Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, as Ms. Campos said, my client advises that she has started her services, finished her parenting class. What we're here today, Your Honor, we're going to be asking to see for the court to consider allowing Ms. Cortez to have in-person visits with the child. The youngest child, she does have visits with the older child. I know that there's been concerns that there may be charges pending on a criminal case. I have been checking regularly with the Power County DA's office, and there's nothing in intake. There's nothing, pending. So we would ask the court to consider allowing her to visit when the dad visits.
All right. Well, we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
Let me hear from everybody. Mr. Michelson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Testimony was heard from Ms. Campos that my client's doing well. He should graduate from school, I think, in 2 weeks. His concern when we talked was his son being transferred to his mother-in-law with his other child.
His concern, okay, let me make sure I understand you correctly. I mean, he's wanting
Yes, ma'am.
that.
Yes.
Okay,
He wants the children to be together. And it's my understanding from Xavier that the child stabilized medically, just recently had a visual examination. The doctor said the previous testimony to the court was the child was blind. And Xavier says that's not the case. His status is improved.
all right, I know he was in a foster home where the foster mother was an RN. Because, I mean, at least initially, I think he had quite a bit of medical need. So, Ms. Zavala, what can you tell me and update me?
Yes, Your Honor. Isaiah is in Lubbock, close to the caregivers, the doctors that he needs to be seeing. He is placed in a medically trained foster home. They are quite able to take care of his needs, but what we're being reported from foster family is that they really think that he should be, in terms of his level of care, I think he's listed as basic right now. But with all the doctor's appointments and everything, they're on top of it. They're getting it done. He's receiving good care. But they think his level of care actually needs to be listed as something other than basic. I don't know who does those evaluations, but they do report that that the visits with dad have gone well, because so far he's the only one. I do know that older sister, who is placed with a grandmother, she's doing well. I've got no concerns about that placement. I do hope that if and when Isaiah gets leveled out, and the doctor's appointments aren't as needed and as regular, that maybe we can get them together. I understand they are having visits, that grandmother's able to go there. Yazalina's able to go there. So I've got no objection to that grandmother per se. It just is sounding like, although Isaiah's doing well, he still probably needs to be there closer to caregivers, at least for a while.
All right. And what area is he in? What is your opinion about mom having visitation with the baby when dad does?
So, if it's supervised, which of course it would be, I don't envision any danger to the child. I do think that if charges are coming, or if they come, that there may be a restriction at that point that doesn't allow contact. But as of right now, with both parents, starting to work services and the goal being reunification, as long as that visit is supervised, I don't see an objection to it, as long as everybody's under the understanding that if charges are coming, that may have to change.
Okay. Ms. Lucero, does your client understand that may be beyond, my control if and when that comes to fruition?
Yes, Your Honor, I've discussed that with her. She understands that, hopefully that, you will be able to, that you would order visits at this time, but that could change in the future. And then that would, if charges at one, are filed in the future, then it would be something that she would talk to her criminal attorney about, bond conditions, things like that.
Okay. All right, let me ask, does the department have any strenuous objection to mom having supervised contact with the baby at this point?
No, ma'am. I don't. I think that she, as long, like y'all said, as long as there's no pending charges or anything like that, I think that it would be good for her and Isaiah.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Cortez and Mr. Trevino, I'm going to kind of meet you halfway on this. I think the baby needs to stay where the baby is for right now. It sounds like he's still got lots of doc appointments and lots of running, and it's a lot. And with your folks being responsible for a 2-year-old, that's a pretty big responsibility as it is. I would love to get the kids back together, and hopefully as Isaiah's conditions maybe stabilize, we will do that. But I'm going to leave him right where he is for the time being. I will allow mom to start having supervised visits, so the two of you can do that together. I just want to be clear that, if it comes to the district attorney's office filing a criminal case, that's a different judge. Ms. Cortez and I don't have any control over that. So, we'll go with the facts as they stand right now and go ahead and let you start visiting on a supervised basis.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, otherwise, it sounds like y'all are off to a good start in the case and you're getting your services worked. And so I'm happy about that. And, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, okay? All right, so at our status hearings, I'm required to tell you some things. So I'm gonna say some things to y'all right now. This isn't, you know, this is not intended to rain on anybody's parade. Y'all are doing well, but I am required by law to make sure you know failure to work your services could result in the children not coming home to you. In worst case scenario, it can mean termination of parental rights. Okay, so you know, hopefully we don't have to go down that road. We don't want to, but just be aware of that and know it can happen. Okay. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator of both children, and I will continue the children's placements. And our next hearing is the initial permanency hearing, and that will be on June 29th of 2023, and that's on a 9 o'clock docket. Same thing, you'll know in advance whether you're going to appear by Zoom like this again, or whether we will be here in person. And that docket will go out about a week in advance. So if you know, if everybody's agreeable and wants to do this electronically, we certainly can. Okay. I'll see y'all back in June, one way or the other. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
What do we have new since the court report was filed?
And Judge, before Courtney starts talking, paternity test was done. Casey Samuelson was found to be the father. And since then, he has filed a relinquishment, which has been filed with the court on, is filed on February 21st of 23.
All right.
If we need to go ahead and dismiss the unknown father in that one, in this case.
All right. No, I have no problem with that. Didn't dismiss the unknown father. Okay. What do we have new?
Since the report was filed, Brittany has met to get her counseling and mental health services started. She has enrolled in her parenting classes, and she has had a therapeutic visit with Lucas.
Okay. How'd the visit go?
It went well. Lucas, you know, he's 5, so his attention span's not the best, but it was positive. His foster mother didn't notice any concerns or anything like that after the visit. Brittany was engaged with him. She kept him talking. And then we have 2 more visits, therapeutic visits set up for the end of this month as well.
Okay. And where are we on drug screening?
Brittany did hair follicle for me. It was negative. We are asking that she be ordered to UA today.
Okay, Ms. Jacobson, you know where to go to do that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, then I'm going to order you to go do a UA before 4 o'clock today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Brown?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Ma'am, could you, how much visitation is Brittany getting at this time?
So right now we're doing therapeutic. So it's based on when the therapist can get those visits scheduled. They're getting ready for spring break down there, so they aren't able to have one this coming week, but they are set to have the last 2 Wednesdays of the month. Going forward from that, once I get clearance from the therapist that everything's good, we'll do weekly visits.
Okay. Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
The child is still in the Houston area?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, all right. All right, and do we have any home studies in the works? Anything?
Not at this time.
Your Honor, I was able to Zoom with Lucas. I agree. It's hard to hold his attention. I got him in the car, which was great. But we've met in person before, so we were able to talk about things that he remembered. Courtney and I have talked about this issue as well. There are some grandparents that are involved and care about him. They believe that due to health concerns that they would not be able to be a placement, and I think that that's been discussed with them multiple times. I hate that. I wish that would change. But I'm glad to see Mom stepping up, and I hope that goes well. That's my hope. But Lucas was able to do an extended visit with grandparents. The visit, I think, went very well. Coming back to placement afterwards was really traumatic. Lots of behaviors, lots of not understanding why he can't go live with grandparents. And it's a hard, I want them to be able to remain in his life and to be a support for him. His one thing that he really was asking me about on our Zoom was, can I see them? Can I visit with them before the summer? And Courtney and I have talked about it. We don't know what exactly to do, because it is pretty traumatic on him to go and visit and then have to come back. But at the same time, we don't want to cut off that contact. So that was the one thing that he really was asking me about. And I honestly don't know at this point what to do about that, just because it triggers such feelings for Lucas.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if he comes and goes several times, he'll settle into the fact that he's going to go, he's going to have a good time, he's going to come back to placement, but he's going to get to go again.
And Judge, I spoke to his therapist as well. And she says that she thinks it's okay as long as, we meet with Lucas and explain, like, you're only going to visit, you will be returning. Because I think that was a little bit unclear to him the last visit. So I agree. We just need to establish what to expect for.
Yeah. I agree. I think we continue, just try to make sure he has correct expectations about it. Okay.
And he did, when he talked to me, he called it a visit. He said, can I visit with them? So maybe he's getting that,
All right. Anybody have anything else we need to cover today?
Not that I'm aware of, Judge.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like things are going pretty good. Ms. Jacobson, just, keep knocking out the services. And we've got our final schedule May 9th. And, the case is not gone into extension. We'll see, if how things are going at that point in time, and evaluate whether or not we're going to have a final that day or whether we'll extend the case. So, Mr. Jackson, you can certainly talk to Ms. Jacobson about that and what all the criteria are for that. And so I'll see everybody back May 9th. All right, we'll go ahead and take a 9 o'clock docket.
Daniel Trafford Department and Shay Grant, a permanency specialist today.
Natalie Archer for the mother, Megan Kern.
Todd Henderson on behalf of alleged father Nathan Vaughn.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Mr. Evans, Judge.
Joel Jackson here on behalf of Jerry McLaughlin. I don't have the name of his client. All I have is the docket sheet. At this time, I'm not sure.
It's Fred Sledge, and I'm just bringing somebody in that's logged in on a telephone. Let me see if this is one of our parties.
My client won't be here, but her sister would like to attend, and that may be who was on the phone.
She's in my waiting room. Is somebody going to call her as a witness today?
Yes, I would like to, Your Honor.
All right, I'll bring her in. Mr. Henderson, any expectation of your client being here today?
No.
All right, and Mr. Jackson, I know you probably don't know the answer to that.
Judge, my understanding,
Okay.
Mr. McLaughlin has not had any contact with his client, or does he have any information with which to reach out to his client?
All right, the whoever's on the Galaxy has sent a chat, so let me respond to that. All right, my apologies, y'all. All right, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
My court report stated that Ms. Kern would be admitting herself to Faith City Mission. However, she decided not to go to that program. Her probation would not allow her to do a program that long and stop paying her fees. So she got into Serenity in Plainview. She went there last Monday, the 27th. But she was wanted out of Randall County. And so I believe they kicked her out until that part of it is taken care of, and then she would be going back.
So is she in Randall County right now?
I'm not sure, Judge. I did try and look and see, but I didn't see her name on there.
So did they dismiss her from Serenity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no.
I haven't
Okay.
had any contact with her since last Friday.
Okay, anything else from St. Francis today?
No.
Anything else today? All right then, Ms. Archer.
Yes, Judge. As the CPS worker stated, my client checked herself into Serenity. When she found out there was a warrant, they wouldn't harbor a fugitive, so they kicked her out. Yesterday, I was able to get a bond set for her so that she can turn herself in. And her plan is to turn herself in, and when she can bond out, to return to Serenity. That was really devastating for her because, you know, on this case, she was doing really well until that one relapse. And she quit her job to go into rehab. So now she isn't going to have a job to raise the money to bond out. But I told her not to get too discouraged, to check herself in as soon as she could. And one thing that she wanted to know was she would love to see Jaylee placed with a relative, and the relatives are interested in placement. I know that there's already a home study done on her sister, Sydney Walker, and that home study was denied at the time. But since then, Sydney has a new home and a new job. And so I was wondering if the court would be amenable to ordering a new home study on the sister.
Ms. Grant, do you recall what the reasons for the denial on the home study on Ms. Walker?
I don't know completely. I know there were several reasons listed on there. One of the biggest was that the sister did not believe Ms. Kern had any involvement in the reason for removal.
Well, Ms. Walker, can you unmute for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe it now?
I believed it in the first place. It was just I didn't badmouth her, I guess.
You understand? Let me just ask you a couple real straight questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand she has a drug problem?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that she's relapsed?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that, you know, drug treatment and recovery are a long process?
Yes, ma'am.
And that it might not be her only relapse?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you interested in long-term placement of the child if it comes to that?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you, Ms. Walker?
I turned 21 in June.
And where do you work? Okay. What do you do for the VA?
I am a phlebotomist.
Okay. And do you live by yourself or do you live with someone else?
I live with my fiance. He was part of the last case as well.
Part of the last home study?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And is he working?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he have any criminal history?
No, ma'am. Neither one of us do.
Any CPS history?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You feel like you guys are up to the task of taking a 3-year-old into your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Even if it ends up being for a long time?
Yes, ma'am.
I want your sister to get her life together, but if she doesn't, would you even be willing to ultimately adopt the child?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's get an updated home study done.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your willingness to step up for Jaylee.
Yes, ma'am.
My client is motivated, Your Honor. She said she will do anything to get back on track.
Well, she's obviously got to deal with some things, first. So, the biggest problem is we're set for a final in May. So we'll see where we're at. The case has not gone into extension yet. All right, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, ma'am. Have nothing, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Henderson.
I don't have anything to add, Judge. I found my client on Facebook and sent a message, but it doesn't appear he ever uses that. It's been a long time, and that message has never been read, so I don't know any other way to reach him.
Your Honor, if I may, just real quick. Ms. Grant, would you happen to have any contact information of any sort with respect to Mr. Sledge?
I don't.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Purtle was never connected, so I don't know. He's obviously not present with us. He is the unknown father, so I doubt he has anything to report. All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I was able to visit Jaylee in person. She is back in her previous placement. She appears very comfortable, well settled. I've got no objection to the new home study for the sister, but I would ask that Jaylee not be moved unless there's an agreement or court order. But I've got no objection to the home study.
Okay. All right, Ms. Archer, did you still need to call Ms. Walker?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right.
You covered it.
Okay. All right, then today I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'm going to continue the child's current placement. I'm going to order there be no change in that placement unless there is an agreement or we have a hearing on that matter. Or some emergency, obviously, that would necessitate removing the child. And Ms. Walker, look to hear probably from Ms. Grant. Ms. Grant, do you think you still have current contact information for her? Or?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. All right. Okay, then we'll see how that home study comes back and we'll go from there. So I'll see everybody back May 16th of 2023 on a 9 o'clock docket, unless we need to get together sooner. Compliance hearing. And we are present today electronically. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Travel Department, and Erica Smith is my worker today.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Shalia Carmichael.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
All right, and I don't have Stacy Grant logged in nor her client, Adrienne Carmichael. All right, what do we have new? How are we coming along?
Judge, one thing before Ms. Smith kind of goes over everything, we are asking that the case be extended for 6 months. There's some services and stuff that, and Ms. Smith will go over this, that Ms. Carmichael has not finished or has not started that we would like to see done before we get out of the case.
Okay, and Ms. Sapien, you and your client agree to that or have an objection to that?
I would have an objection, Your Honor. I actually have not had the opportunity to speak to Ms. Carmichael before today. I don't know if she got a new phone number. But at the beginning of the case, I think the concerns were regarding domestic violence and the child's attendance in school. It's my understanding that those are no longer factors, and she has been taking care of her children as she should. And so I would ask that the case not be extended.
All right, Ms. Zavala, objection or?
Your Honor, I have not been able to visit with the kids this session. I have in the past. I've visited twice in the home, but we reached out in every way that we knew how, and we're not able to meet with the kids before this hearing. I do have concerns based on the report. It sounds like there are some school issues that are not being addressed. At least it's reported that multiple parent-teacher conferences have been scheduled and have not been attended. Concerns about testing on Jeremiah that haven't been done. And we were unable to get a hold of her to schedule a meeting this time.
Okay, so what I want to do then is let's back up. Then, Mr. Trout, if you want to call your worker, let's get some testimony about where we're at with all the services.
Yes, ma'am. We call her Erica Smith. And Ms. Erica, how are you familiar with the case involving the Carmichael children?
I am the family-based safety service worker on the case.
Okay. And how is Ms. Carmichael doing on her services that we've asked her to do?
It's been a very slow progress.
Okay. Due to some concerns, were the services restructured at one point?
They were.
Okay. And the main issue that started this case was some domestic violence. Is that correct?
Yes.
And sorry, was the WAVE program added to her services?
The WAVE program has been a part of the services from the beginning.
Okay. And has Ms. Carmichael completed that service?
No, she has not.
Has she started that service?
She completed the intake for the service on last Thursday, the 2nd.
On the 2nd. Before that, was there an appointment set that she no-showed?
Yes.
When did that happen?
It was in February.
Okay. And then when she no-showed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So was it February 10th or January 10th?
It was February 10th.
Okay. All right. Sorry, the report said January. I just want to make sure on that.
I'm sorry. It was January 10th.
Okay. I'm gonna ask one more time just to clarify. So she no-showed on January 10th.
Yes.
Okay. And it was rescheduled for March 2nd, and she attended that one.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. She been enrolled in the Padre program?
Yes.
How many classes to this point has she completed of that?
According to the instructor, she has completed 4.
Okay. All right. Out of how many?
Out of 8.
Out of 8. So she's about halfway through with that one.
Yes.
Okay. Now there's a talk of a in-home parenting. What is that?
We have a worker that goes into the home that works with Shalia. She works on parenting skills, organization, household skills, cleaning, stuff like that. Okay. And she's scheduled to go work with her once a week, every Thursday.
Okay. And when did that start?
It started 3 weeks ago. Okay. But due to scheduling conflict, she's only been able to make one appointment so far.
Okay. And is that scheduling conflicts on whose side? Is that on the in-home parenting worker or on Ms. Coleman?
On the in-home parenting worker.
Okay. Okay. So that's at no fault of Ms. Coleman.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other services that we have not gotten participation fully on at this time?
There is also individual counseling that was asked of Shalia, and individual counseling for Jeremiah.
Okay.
The individual counseling for Jeremiah is not at fault of Shalia's. Okay. There is quite a waiting list for children's play therapy at this time. Okay. But as far as the individual counseling for Shalia, it has not been set up yet.
When was that originally asked to be done?
It was one of the original services of the case.
Okay, so was that 3 or 4 months ago at least?
Yes.
At least. And so she has not done any of the individual counseling at this time?
No.
Are there any testing that we need that is asked of her? Drug testing, alcohol testing, anything like that?
She has been doing drug screens, and she has been testing negative on her drug screens.
Okay.
We did start doing alcohol screens because there has been some concerns of excessive drinking.
Okay.
going on.
And when you say concerns of that, what concerns came up that caused that?
There were concerns by one of the house owners that there was some drinking going on by Shalia, and that there was going to be random alcohol screens, and so that caused us to check into that as well.
Yeah.
So I did an alcohol screen on her, and she was positive for alcohol use.
Yeah.
Which alcohol use is not against the law. It was just whenever there were concerns coming up that there was alcohol use going on during the day and at night when the kids were around, that's when there was concerns.
Okay.
There was another alcohol screen done and it's pending still.
Okay. And part of that reason is the housing unit she lives in, do they have a rule of no alcohol in the home?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where the concern came from.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Are you asking for this to be extended so that Ms. Carmichael can finish her program that is set out to finish the WAVE program and the counseling and to finish up her Padre program? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
Do you believe that's in the best interest of Ms. Carmichael and the child at this time?
I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Smith, you were talking just now about the in-home parenting worker, and whenever you were listing her duties or his duties, you mentioned that they work on how to clean. Do you have concerns regarding my client's cleanliness?
There have been concerns of the house being in disarray. I have had concerns of the house being in disarray. The ladies that own the house have had concerns of it being messy as well.
Okay, I'd never heard that before. Are there bugs?
No, just clothes everywhere and dishes in the kitchen and food and toys and just stuff all over the floor in the bedroom. And the cleaning is something that we work on to help, like with the children as well, getting charts together and getting children to start learning how to do chores. And we help the parents do that.
And you were also talking with Mr. Trout. Domestic violence was the concern at the beginning of the case. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where is Mr. Carmichael?
The last I knew, he was incarcerated in Kansas.
Okay. Do you have any information on his expected release?
I do not.
Okay. Have you had any contact with him that indicates he's coming back to Amarillo?
No, I do not.
Okay. And the individual counseling for the child has not been completed, and that's not at the fault of my client, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Would you also agree that in the beginning, consistently, proper housing was a concern?
Yes.
Okay. And has Ms. Carmichael found proper housing?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And it sounds also like there's someone at this housing unit that is also checking for the welfare of the people living there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if Ms. Carmichael is at this housing unit and something goes awry, there's people there that would be able to report that.
Yes.
And Ms. Carmichael has screened drug and both alcohol and drugs when you've asked her to?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Okay, Ms. Ball.
Ms. Smith, I'd like to ask you about the report regarding the kids. There's a reference to multiple parent-teacher conferences being scheduled and missed in regard to Jeremiah. Can you tell me about that?
I think there were 6 different parent-teacher conferences set up, and they were all no-showed. Shalia didn't show up to any of them. And the last one, Shalia herself scheduled, and she didn't show up to that one either.
And there was a reference to Jeremiah being tested for a developmental delay. And do you know what's needed for that?
There is just some paperwork that has to be signed by Ms. Carmichael in order for the testing to be done. And due to the fact that they have not been able to get in touch with her, she hasn't signed any of the paperwork.
And then there's a reference to well, I'm sorry, let me continue with Jeremiah. There's a reference about him not having a pediatrician. Is that still the case, or is he in between pediatricians as far as you know?
That is still the case. She needs to call and set up his pediatrician with Texas Tech. She just has to call and get it set up, and it just hasn't been done.
Do you know when his last well check was?
When we spoke last week and I asked her, she said it had been about 1.5 years since he'd had a well child checkup.
And then as far as the baby, was there a reference to a missing appointment for the baby?
There was, but she told me last week that she did get that scheduled and made up.
Has she been? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And when this case started, was some of the concern Jeremiah's school and missing school and things like that?
Yes.
Do you know how Jeremiah's attendance has been recently?
His attendance has been good. He has been attending school.
And right now, the house that Ms. Carmichael lives in, I believe, is it free from rent because a church is donating that?
It is a women's safe haven. I don't know if it's a church that's being donated. I just know that we had met the couple that owns half some of it. Whenever Shalia when we were looking for a house after she had to leave the home that she was living in, it kind of just fell in our lap. We had met this couple, and they were running this safe haven, and they offered Shalia to live in there.
And you had stated as part of that agreement, the landlords were requesting random alcohol screens. Have they said anything about what would happen if she continues to test positive?
What I was told was if there is any alcohol in the home or drinking, that she would be evicted because there is no alcohol allowed in the home.
I pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Stroud, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Sapien, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further to present?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Sapien?
I'll call my client, Shalia Carmichael.
Yes,
Okay. Hey, when's the last time that you have communicated with your husband?
The last time wasn't like a few months ago, so sometime last year. And it was
Okay.
it was on Christmas actually, and that was the last time we spoke.
Okay. What is your understanding in regards to him going to prison?
The drug use, he got caught with a pipe, and he had went to jail for that.
Okay, and his parole's being revoked, is that correct?
To my knowledge, I don't even know if it's being revoked or what's going to happen.
Okay, that's good. If you don't know what I'm asking you, just say you don't know. Do you have, or I'll strike that. Is it your intention to file for divorce from Mr. Carmichael?
Yes.
Why have you not already filed?
I was just trying to get on my feet. I'm actually trying to go, I'm in college to be a real estate agent, and I'm also going to another college tomorrow to figure out something else that I can do and be for myself. So it's a lot going on, and I'm trying to find work as well, on top of handling everything Miss Erica has been asking me to do. Because it's still a lot, but I have been doing my very best to complete everything that she's asked me.
Okay, and we just heard some testimony about your daughter's checkup. Did you end up taking her to her well check?
Yes.
Okay, and are you going to get your son set up with Texas Tech?
Yes.
In the beginning of this case, we had a lot of concerns about your housing. Would you agree?
Yes.
Can you tell the court everything that you've done to ensure stable housing?
I had moved house to house. So at first I was staying with a relative out here. Well, she's an immediate relative. And then I left there because it was too much drama. And then I went to my friend's house, and then she took me out multiple times, just me and my kids. And, I didn't know where else to go, but I wanted to find somewhere stable. And then I ran into the Burrells, and, they gave me a stable place to stay.
Did you contact any shelters?
I had contact Martha's Home. I had a meeting, but I wasn't really comfortable with my kids being around a bunch of strangers, because my kids, I'm trying to get them not to be so polite, not to talk to strangers like that. So, because we don't know what's going to happen or what that person might do. So,
so you're in a stable house. You're in a stable house now, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Every time Miss Erica has asked you to drug test or alcohol test, you've complied?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand fully the ramifications if you drink in the home you're in right now?
Yes.
And what are those consequences?
So as far as I was told, if I continue to drink in the home, I would have to find somewhere else to live. And the church man had told me that he will take my kids, and he can, and he will, so that I can find somewhere to go.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Trout, any questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have a few. Ms. Carmichael, did you make your appointment for the WAVE program on last Thursday?
Last Thursday, I went to that appointment.
You went to that appointment?
Yes.
Did they reschedule you for another appointment or some classes?
They did not, due to the circumstances that I had told her that I don't know what's going to happen with my case, or if it's going to close. And she told me that there's really no point of me being there if my case were to close. So she never rescheduled me.
So the WAVE program told you that they didn't think there was any point to reschedule you?
Yes, if my case was to close.
But at the time, she didn't know whether it was going to close or not?
No, she was trying to get in contact with Miss Erica.
Okay.
The conversation there was.
How come you waited so long to initiate this program?
Honestly, I was working at Chick-fil-A. So depending on the times that I had worked, my schedule wasn't very steady. It was flexible. So, and I didn't really know I didn't know where it was. I just was told to call her and set up an appointment.
Okay. And how long did you wait to do that?
It's not the first time I've actually called. I did call in January, and when I did miss it, I did call and reschedule. So I had went this past Thursday.
Okay. Question is, this was a service that they wanted you to work since the beginning of this case. Just let's call it September. So from September to January, how come you did not set up an appointment?
Just going through a lot. And I'm also in classes. So, and I'm still doing online classes and everything. So it skipped my mind, honestly.
So we've been having hearings on this about every 60 days or so, but the services skipped your mind?
Yeah, it's a lot. That's, I'm trying to focus on school, trying to get a job and take care of my kids. No one else is helping me, so I'm doing everything on my own.
How come you haven't done individual counseling yet?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Now you've done 4 of the 8 classes on the Padre program. Are you set to do the 5th class anytime, or do you not schedule that? Or is that not?
Yes, I'm supposed to go today, but since I broke my phone, I can't get the passcode or the ID. So, and my other roommate, she's in the same class, but she wasn't here to give me that, and I can't remember anybody's number. So right now, I do not have a cell phone.
Okay. When did you do your first session of Padre?
Maybe it was last year. Either between September, October. I can't remember the date.
Okay. And how does that work? Do you set up the classes when you can, or are they set to be normally every 2 weeks?
Every Tuesday. But I haven't been for 2 weeks because Mr. Antonio had told me I didn't have to be there for 2 weeks.
Okay. So they're every Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. And you started these in about October?
Yes.
And then what is that?
Yeah, it's about around the same time I was working. So I would have to tell him, and then we would have to reschedule because my work schedule.
Okay.
Then.
So the question is, if they're every Tuesday and you've been doing them for 5 months now, but you've only done 4 classes, that's about every 4 weeks, not every week. The question is, how come you haven't finished the 8 classes in 5 months if they're every week?
Well, as I said, my work schedule wasn't compatible with the times that he wanted. I would be going in at 9 when, the classes were at 9. So I would be going into work at Chick-fil-A at 9 instead of going later.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Carmichael, you understand that these classes and these things are set up to try to help you, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, a second ago, you said nobody was helping you. So you understand that these things are set up to help you?
Financially, I don't think they're, no. But probably mentally, yes.
And you understand this case started a lot with domestic violence issues, and that the WAVE program is to help you with those situations.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think you need that program?
No, ever since he's been gone, I've been focused on myself and my kids and focusing on my anger. So I think I've been doing pretty good.
You don't think that this class that's set up to help with that sort of stuff would help you?
I mean, it is.
And do you think that individual counseling would help you as far as dealing with as you said, working on yourself and your kids? Do you believe individual counseling would help that?
I believe it would, but I am, and also I do have independent meetings with other people that I can't remember because my phone is broke. We have meetings almost every Thursday as well, so they would also help me.
I'm sorry. What kind of meetings and what kind of people are you talking about?
It was basically to help me mentally and emotionally, and for them to understand where I need to be and who I am and what my focus needs to be.
Okay. But I'm getting a little confused here because you have time for a meeting with those people, but not time to do the classes that are set up to help you with exactly those same things.
I've hardly met with them as well. They would only set up meetings, if they would ask me if I needed to come in, and I would be like, I don't think so today. So, so it's just a lot going on.
I understand. Ms. Carmichael, do you take this seriously as far as the classes and the therapies and the things that they're trying to help you with at this time?
I mean, yes, I do.
Change subject a little bit. How come you missed parent teacher conferences with the children?
I'm not sure how many were set up, but I did set up a parent teacher conference, which I did miss because I was out running errands. But as far as I know, the last parent teacher conference was last year. And I was always walking my son to school with my daughter, in the winter time. So.
Okay. So was the errand you were running more important than the parent teacher conference?
It was to actually get clothes and food for my kids.
Okay. Did you let anybody know that you weren't going to make it and try to reschedule that, or did you just not go?
No.
No what?
I didn't. I just didn't go.
You just didn't go. Okay. Have you set up pediatrician appointments for both children?
My daughter has an appointment actually on the 26th of next month, and since my phone broke, I wasn't able to set up an appointment for my son. I tried when I was there, and they told me to just call them this month, but my phone is broken. So
you've gone back by. Instead of calling, since you don't have a phone, have you gone back by, or have you borrowed anybody's phone to do that?
No. One of my roommates work, and she's like never home really. So, and my other roommate doesn't have a phone.
Okay. You know where that doctor's office is, though?
Texas Tech, yes.
Okay. Did you get by there to set up the appointment?
Yeah, I would have to contact. Well, we do have a house phone. I just don't know the number because they just installed it yesterday. I can contact one of the women that are helping with the housing and see if maybe one of them can take me.
Okay. And you have a house phone, you said?
Yes.
And you have internet?
Yes.
So you can look up the phone number to call them?
Yes, Texas Tech.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Zabala?
Ms. Carmichael, you may remember I'm the kid's attorney, and I've been out to your house 2 different times that we've met. Okay. So that house phone, would it be possible, and you don't have to provide it over YouTube, but would it be possible for you to provide me that number so that we can try and get a hold of you?
Yes, I would have to find it. I wrote it down somewhere. I would have to find it. I can text it to Miss Erica once I find it.
Okay. So Kelly, my assistant, has reached out a number of times, both by the email address that you gave us and the phone number that we've reached you at before. And I understand you're saying your phone is broken. Is there, besides the house phone, is there any other way for someone to get a hold of you?
Just the house phone.
Okay. So my role is for the kids. And my big concern is the school issue with Jeremiah. So what are the teachers saying about a possible developmental delay?
I know I had a paper about it, that he needed testing, which, I don't mind, but I just think my son is just still going through it, a lot since his dad's not here, which I could understand. But also, I do try, help him, and, we have flashcards I do with him, multiple times, and I'm just trying to teach him, better, because his math is the thing. It's just his math, as far as his report card says.
Okay. Do you know, was the testing the only issue for these parent-teacher conferences, or was there, if you know, something else that they wanted to talk with you about?
I believe it was him not turning in homework, even though, when I asked him to turn it in, and I still see it in his folder, I asked him why he hasn't turned it in. He just says he doesn't know. And papers that need to be signed and corrected, he doesn't show me. He hides it from me. So I don't know if he's not trying to, get a lecture from me about it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's about, honestly.
And I apologize, I think you've answered this, but when was his last well child check?
It was about a year ago in first grade, when he was in first grade.
So you're saying you're not opposed to the testing that they are requesting at school?
I don't mind them giving him the test. It's just fine.
Are you willing to sign the documents to make that happen?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Sapien, any other questions?
Just one, Your Honor. Ms. Carmichael, do you have a vehicle?
No, ma'am.
I apologize, Your Honor. I said one, but let me follow up here. And have you had a vehicle at any time during this case being open?
Yes, I've only had it for 2 months though.
Okay. Did not having the vehicle make it difficult to get around?
It did.
But you still walked your son to school, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And tried to find rides to get where you needed to go?
Yes.
And last thing, the house phone you're talking about, did you say it was just installed yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anything else, Your Honor.
Right, Ms. Smith, can we assist her with transportation? To and from services is what I'm inquiring about.
Yes, I have told her that if she needs a ride, that I will give it to her. She just needs to let me know. And the ladies that own the house have also told her, as long as she gives them advance notice, that they will help her as well.
Okay, so Ms. Carmichael, there you have it. You've got several people who are willing to help you get to these appointments. And obviously, when you make these appointments, they're enough in advance, you can let them know. So I'm going to extend the case for up to 180 days in order for you to complete your services. I'm also at this time going to dismiss Mr. Carmichael from the case because he is in Kansas. He is incarcerated. He's not participating. I see no point in keeping him pled into this since it was a motion to participate. So we're done unless he turns up. But Ms. Carmichael, these things are designed to try to help you. You know, we're wanting to try to help you. We want to try to keep you headed in the right direction. And so, you know, you've got to follow through. Mind that you know what you need to do. It's very clear to me. You know what you need to do. It's just you're not. Excuse me. You're just not following through, and you need to. You need to follow through with the school, with your child's educational needs. You need to follow through with medical appointments. You know, you need to do some of these other things so that you don't find yourself in this position again. So I'm going to give you another 180 days to get this done.
Okay.
You know, it's important stuff. Okay. Our next review hearing will be August 31st of 2023, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
You said 1 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
9, okay.
It'll be a 9 o'clock docket. You can check to see what time exactly it will be. And Ms. Sapien will make sure you know that.
Okay.
Oh, I think I said that. Wait a minute. Hang on. I want to make sure. No, I'm sorry. May 23rd. May 23rd of 2023. And that's on a 9 o'clock docket. I apologize. I looked at the wrong piece of paper.
Okay.
All right, May 23rd. Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate y'all.
180 days.
And the next dismissal date extended to 9/2 of 23, I believe. I don't know if we have. September 2nd of 23.
And then I didn't notice on your schedule, do you have a break for lunch and then you're back at 1?
Yeah, we start back at 1.
But you might not get a lunch is what you're saying.
There's a lot of days we don't get lunch around here. Or it's lunch on the fly. I can take that. It's lunch bite by bite through the day. Okay. So Mr. Trout, y'all were in a breakout room. I explained to Mr. Hammonds that Ms. Kopp had an emergency and had to leave very quickly this morning. I know y'all may need to continue to visit, but we are up against our absolute dismissal date, March 10th. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the case. We'll just take a really quick testimony and then we'll recess. And then if y'all get something worked out, great. You can let us know.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what I was talking to Ms. Barron about. I was just letting her know what was going on today. So we're good. We can go ahead and start when you're ready.
We're here today set for our final in this matter. We are conducting this through Zoom based on a finding of good cause and the agreement of the parties. Okay, as we've been discussing, but not necessarily on the record, Ms. Kopp, who is the attorney for the father in this case, was called away very suddenly this morning on a family emergency. We are up against our absolute dismissal deadline on March 10th. And so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a very brief amount of testimony and we will recess and reset for March 21st of 2023 at 1 o'clock. All right, then we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Samara Duran is my worker today and be my witness.
TD Hammonds for Mother Latoya Janet Bernard. I'm ready to proceed, Judge. Miss Bernard actually called me this morning. She had a medical emergency with one of her younger children, but we have discussed the proposal of the department and I can make an announcement regarding that.
Okay, and Mr. Barfield is not logged in either. I don't know if anybody's heard from him.
Judge, he emailed me yesterday. I know he had a hearing in another town, an in-person hearing in another, about 3 or 4 hours away. I think that was supposed to start around 10:30 or 11 today. He did say he thought that he was in agreement with what we had proposed also, but that is where he is right now.
Okay, well, we obviously aren't going to get that far today anyway. So even more reason to just take really quick testimony and then recess. So I will let you go ahead and call your first witness.
We'd call Samara. And Mr. Rand, how are you employed?
I'm a permanency specialist with St. Francis Ministries.
Okay, that's fine. That's good enough. Okay, then y'all just let us know, and if we need our final, then we'll commence that March 21st. If we need to do any kind of prove up, let me know, or if it can be done by an agreed order, that's great.
Okay. Will be done.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds, I apologize for keeping you waiting so long. I'm really sorry.
I'll be back this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll just leave this feed up. It's just, we don't have that long to go, so I'm just going to leave everything up. So if y'all want to stay logged in, you're welcome to.